Kris and Sam here from the Noizze Podcast at the first Noizzefest with the headliners Vexed. Thank you, first of all, thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Massive.
First question is incredibly lame, and I do apologise.
Go on, I like lame questions.
But a bit of a peek behind the curtain, when Jack first told us about planning a Noizzefest, he was talking about, I might get Vexed to headline or try to get Vexed. And we both said, I think it's a bit of a reach.
Bit ambitious.
Some of the Vexed do this, really? Then he said, oh no, we've confirmed it, we've got Vexed. I was stunned. It made me immediately feel like you must have some kind of memory or some kind of importance of independent underground festivals. So it's a lame opening question, but have you got like a particular memory from an underground festival you've either played or attended that made you feel like it was important for you to play this one?
Well, I mean, the first show that we ever played as a band was Techfest.
Nice,
And so,
Love
and like,
Techfest.
it's always been our mates that have run the festival, and like, it's always held a special place in our heart, hasn't it? Because we were meant to do like a headline run, and like the shows got cancelled. So the first show Vex ever did was like a homegrown festival. So
sick.
I suppose that kind of ties in. But also, like, I just love playing here. Like, we did our headline show back here in October, and it was my favourite show of the tour. So yeah, when we heard that it was Cardiff and Fuel, we were just like, yeah, fuck it, we're gonna do it. Like, and we get to, it's really intimate floor show as well, which you don't always get to do very often. So yeah, it's well up for it.
Another lame question coming up. But
He has like 17, and he's
I
don't
love
worry about
lame
it.
if you met me, you'd
Your
understand
favourite
why I've got
colour's
to-
coming up soon, don't worry about it.
Matt, Necromantium tour.
Yes.
Please talk to me what it was like to tour with Revocation for a series of time, because I adore Revocation.
Yeah.
I saw them support Killswitch Engage a couple of years ago. Do you remember how good that was?
Oh my God.
And I immediately fell in love. What was it like to watch Revocation for like an extended period of time?
Your drummer and Ash is just.
Oh yeah, Ash. Yeah, well they're all great, but they're really funny as well. Like they look quite serious on stage, but in person they're very different. I won't say too much, but yeah, no, really nice guys and obviously really talented.
Yeah, incredible.
Every single night was note for note.
And what I really like about them is they're really humble. There's no like douchebaggery to them at all. They're just really lovely guys who are stupidly talented and like play to the same level every night. There's no shit show for them. So yeah, it was like, not to brag, but it was amazing.
Well, Liam from Counterparts was talking to me before about like how he really took interest in caring about younger bands and like cultivate them and teaching them. This is a great idea. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. Did that happen at any point during that tour? Because you were on tour with bands like Carnifex who have been there, done that, worn the t-shirt. Did anyone pull you aside and tell you what was a good or bad idea?
We had one night where my in-ears wouldn't work, and obviously because we're all on click tracks and stuff, I was a bit fucked. And I managed to just do the rest of the set with no mic. I just screamed the set without a mic. So
Flex.
yeah, didn't feel like it at the time.
I can imagine.
But Dave afterwards came up to us and was just like, that was a pleasure to watch because you didn't freak out and you just kept going and made it fun for the crowd, which was really nice to hear because we were shitting ourselves on stage and like we're not having a good time and we're trying to like keep momentum up and keep going, and it was really scary. But for him to come up to us afterwards and was just like, you smashed it, don't worry, was really cool. So yeah.
For a band such as yourselves, like it's very much like you're about to strike while the iron's hot. I've always been fascinated in terms of like your choice of tours.
Yeah.
Are you in the position where you're like, we'll play every tour that gets offered, or you try to kind of curate and pick something specific to your particular audience? Because I spoke to bands before where it's like, no, we're hot, we've got to strike while the iron's hot right now. I spoke to other bands where it's like, no, we know our audience, we should pick our tours based on our audience. How do you guys try to balance that out? Are you like, let's do anything that gets offered, or are you more specific about what you choose?
I mean, it depends. It is a bit of a mixture. Like, there are some bands that even though they're fucking huge, we wouldn't want to tour with. Like, we wouldn't want to. I'm not going to say who, but we wouldn't want to put ourselves like on a lineup with them because we just don't fuck with them. So, like, it is a line between we would just play anything. Like, we'd go out with Beyonce. Like, we'd fucking do anything. But if our manager was like,
Coachella 2025.
yeah, oh my god, I love it. Yeah, if our manager's like, look, we've put you forward, but I don't think it's the right business move, we will listen to him, but begrudgingly listen to him.
Yeah, like if we've got a more important show or tour that's too close to another tour, we'd weigh up the options, which one's best, because you can't always do a back-to-back European tour,
Of course,
Same venues.
the amount of weight as well.
Yeah.
Sort of doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it is hard. It's tricky.
Well, just branching from that then, is it a personal feeling that this tour would work, or is it our band manager said this would be a great idea, let's follow their advice because they've been in the industry longer than us?
For us, it's we want to do it, so let's do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome.
We're quite lucky in that our manager is a great friend of ours. Like, we can talk to him quite honestly and openly, and he can suggest I don't think this is a good idea, but we're just we want to do it. So
Sort of that's helpful to blur that relationship, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, where there's not just a corporate entity that you have to negotiate with.
Yeah.
You've got that kind of relationship.
Exactly.
Just want to sort of jump on that. You were talking just about the sort of conversations that you have to have with sort of band members in terms of the set lists and the conversation you have to have with the bands that suit you and that type of stuff. You talked today about playing for a longer period of time is a bit of a step forward for you guys in the sense of oh my god, we usually play for 30-40 minutes, now we have to play for sort of an hour. How does that decision making go? So for do you think to yourself, all right, there's the 4 or 5 tracks that define Vexed, going to be the conclusion, and maybe there's something we want to open with, and there's that sort of healthy middle ground.
Yeah.
I imagine that's a bit of a negotiation between members of the band. How did that decision making go? And I know that you've said, I'm stepping on something here. How does that conversation happen? I know that you sort of got involved with what the fans want and that type of stuff, but how do those conversations occur in terms of we're going to play this for this crowd and your mindset going to a gig like this?
So we always look at stats on Apple Music, Spotify, and just sort of you can tell which one's more popular.
Yeah.
And then we might put something on socials, being what songs do you want to hear? People always name a song and then they're not actually coming to a show because they're from a different country.
Just want the YouTube video of the song, right?
And then we'll try and talk amongst ourselves.
With some disagreements, I assume.
Oh yeah, because I'll make a set list and then it will be all the ones that Jay has a solo in back to back, and he's like, we can't do that. I'll
my fingers
die.
gonna fall off here.
Yeah. And things like that. So we always put forward set lists, and then if we don't like it, we talk amongst ourselves and figure it out. We always make sure that we all agree on it and all fuck with it.
So it's a veto thing, a voting,
Sort of.
Yeah, just general conversation.
Yeah, of course.
We all just want to, have fun doing it and not be too stressed out. Up until a couple of weeks ago, we did have one song in the set, but we cut it last week because we were just it's just not working, so we changed it. And it's just about what everyone's comfortable with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've been really open about the creation of Negative Energy and how you had to kind of scrap the identity of the record at one point. This doesn't work for us. From that moment, do you feel like you've learned something that would never happen again? Or do you feel there's a possibility that you have to return to that conversation whenever the next record happens? I was really interested reading about this, the idea of this doesn't work, we should scrap this and start again.
Yeah.
From that moment, do you feel like you've learned something that will never have that application again? Or is it a possibility of we might have to return to this conversation further down the road?
Return to the topic of
this doesn't work for us, we're different now than we thought we were, let's start again.
I think it's helped us in the sense that we now know what we want to write, whereas the ideas we were coming up with before Negative Energy, it was what we thought we should write. Kind of I don't know, when you're first starting out as a band and you're trying to find your sound and stuff, you kind of all just say yes to each other because you're just trying to figure it out. But we were actually why are we doing this? These songs are crap, we don't actually want to do this. And now that we've found our sound and
I'm glad we did do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't have to do that again, because hopefully we'll know.
I think we found our sound now.
Yeah.
So.
I've never heard a band say that to me before. I've done a lot of band interviews. I've never heard them say what we were doing was crap. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
That didn't work. Let's just start writing again. That wasn't working at all.
Yeah.
Never heard the band say that. I really appreciate that honesty. That's probably that's looking into looking glass, isn't it? This won't work.
Yeah.
Let's start again. That takes guts, right? Because sometimes the first
scary.
idea seems like the best one.
Yeah.
And that takes guts to be actually, this is a terrible idea. Let's restart that again completely.
Yeah, it was scary because we weren't left with much time afterwards, were we? It was kind of we had all these songs and we were just we're not vibing with it. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like the identity that we want to grow into. Scrap it, start again. And then we managed to write all the songs in a month. And but that was because we were being true to ourselves. So it goes to show instead of trying to sound like other bands or trying to please your fans necessarily, if you write what's naturally coming out, even if it's really different to what you're used to, ultimately it will please the fans because you're being yourself. And it just came really naturally and figured out who we are now, I think.
going to branch off that again. If you listen to the lyrics of Culling Culture compared to Negative Energy, there's an obvious growth. Quite clearly, you're older people, you're more mature, you've got a wider scope of the world. Do you feel like the identity of Vexed at its core is different in 2024 to what it was in 2021? And what do you think has changed that, if it is different?
For me, what about you?
Yeah, I think just more mature and more focused on how we want to sound.
I think for Culling Culture, I was a lot younger, and I was still very, very insecure about how the world perceived me as a vocalist.
A lot of those songs as well weren't written in 2020.
Stuff to an audience.
I'd been trapped in bands where it was we need to be a proggy band, and we need to write songs like this, and we need you to sing, and we need you to do
tick
that.
These boxes.
Yeah, and I think I was trying hard not to, but it was difficult to get out of those bad habits for Culling Culture. So when Negative Energy came along, it was I'm not doing anything that I've been told to do anymore.
But also half those songs were really old.
Yeah, on Culling Culture.
2017 old. So.
Yeah, definitely more mature and kind of a no fucks given, I think, attitude.
Just to close off, I'm a Desert Island Discs obsessive. I am. I have to know. You're on an island. You get one album to take with you. I'm desperate to know. One album you can take with you, that you can listen to for the rest of your life. I'm curious. I should have timed this before we started. I'm going to ask this question.
Homework next time with this interview.
Okay, for the rest of my life, one album. To be honest, it probably wouldn't be a metal album.
Interesting. That's fine.
Let me look on my phone. Whenever I get asked questions like this, I forget every musician that's ever existed.
It's like the mastermind thing, isn't it? Right, you prepare all the time, you sit in the chair.
Next time before we start. By the way, at the end, I'm going to ask you this question. This doesn't hold the disc conversation.
God, I don't know. It's really difficult.
I genuinely do not know.
I'm going to say, and it actually is a metal album, I'd probably go for King 810's La Petite Mort Conversation with God.
No arguments?
Yeah.
No arguments?
Probably go with that one.
You've got 10 seconds of time. You've got 10 seconds of time.
You compare to you so quickly.
Yeah.
Can I phone a friend?
Go on, have a look.
Oh no. You might have to cut all this.
Do you see King 810 as a legitimate inspiration for yourself?
Yes.
Actually, when you mention that, it kind of
Lyrically,
that does kind of make sense.
That's
That kind
really
of
cool.
brutal to the heart on your sleeve, really conceptual. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, King 810 would be an inspiration for yourself.
I think because obviously I am a woman and I have that girlier sounding voice, connections like that don't often get made, but I think if there was a man in my place doing it, you'd be able to hear it more easily.
Do you take that into account when you sing?
Yes.
In the sense of I'm representing a feminine energy.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
I honestly, it's something I struggle with a lot. Because I find Vexed to be my safe space and my place where when I'm on stage I get to be whoever I want to be and I'm not insecure and I'm all of that goes out the window.
It's a freedom.
Yeah, and so I find a lot of security in feeling masculine, and then when I remember that actually I'm a really small woman and my voice is actually really feminine sounding when I sing and stuff, that's where my insecurity lies. So that's why on Negative Energy a lot of it is screaming and a lot of it is spoken word, because I'll only tend to sing when I'm feeling vulnerable about something, on the sadder songs, because I feel more powerful and more confident when I'm screaming.
It's a cathartic sort of feeling to that.
I feel like I can take on anything when I'm being my angry persona, and then as soon as I start singing and being nice, I'm I feel vulnerable, So it is a weird thing. Yeah.
Did we kill enough time for you then to find an album?
Yeah, I mean,
let's go. I think we killed enough time then for you to
only
reveal.
because I saw it on an iTunes thing, but Pantera, Far Beyond Driven.
Not a bad choice.
Not a single argument.
Not a problem.
Not a single. Slaughtered on that album is the hardest. That is the hardest song written. That is the hardest song written. Vexed, the headline in Noizzefest, is going to be amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Show's going to be amazing. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you. Cheers.
Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.